Of all the churchyards that I regularly visit, I would proclaim East Stoke in Nottinghamshire to be one of the creepiest. This somewhat remote yet neatly kept graveyard has a rather odd feel about it. It's as if you're being watched. For the most part, this may be down to the tall, lifelike figure of an angel which rises high above all the other headstones. This prevailing figure, with its chilling, fixed gaze, is enough to raise the hairs on the back of your neck. Although it's just a monument to the dead, it's unsettling, to say the least, and when working there, your eyes seem to be constantly drawn towards it. It's quite eerie, and I've often said to my colleagues that if I happen to look up and the head of the statuette has turned around to be watching me, then I'm out of there. It's fair to say that Wag, our family dog, has never liked it either. I have heard talk that the figurine is said to weep real tears, but as yet I haven't seen any. I once dug a grave there that turned out to be rather intriguing. The gravedigger who had originally dug it some 10 years previously had forewarned me that he had unearthed a large number of bones. Most had been broken fragments, although there had also been many complete skulls. These, along with any larger bones, he'd placed in bags and they'd been reburied back in the grave after the committal. On reopening the grave, I immediately started to find small shards of bone. The deeper I got, the more I unearthed. The amount was unbelievable. In order for me to get a reasonable depth, I firstly had to remove some of the bags that the previous gravedigger had reburied. Although he'd bagged up many of the larger bones, the spoil heap was littered with the remnants of smaller pieces. It was quite worrying, as each shovelful continued to unearth yet more and more bone. But the question remained, why was it all here? After the funeral, I spoke to the vicar, but he too could shed no light on just why there were so many human remains in one solitary place. However, there were a few possible explanations. In 1646, the plague raged through the village of East Stoke, and in that year alone, the burial register has entries for 161 burials, stating that 159, 159, died of the plague. If a plague pit had been dug, then the back of the church would have been the ideal position. To mark the whereabouts of such a pit, a carved engraving was usually made on the stonework, indicating where the pit was, but I could find no such mark. In 1487, the Battle of East Stoke Field was fought near to where the church stands. 7,000 men were said to have died that day, and their bodies littered the surrounding fields. It's possible that some of the dead may have been buried in mass graves within the churchyard. The final explanation, and the most likely, is that at some point in time the church had been extended. In order to lay the foundations, workmen would have had to clear and remove part of the burial ground. Any remains that were disturbed would have been reburied near to where they were originally found. Whatever the true reason, East Stoke Churchyard is a creepy place. I have dug many a grave on a dark winter's evening, but I can honestly say that I would not feel comfortable digging here. No way. Especially alone.